Hi everyone, Monday evening. Much easier day for us in a way today. Certainly less time spent at conference. We actually finished by about 6:30 today and went for a nice meal in the lanes. Ran into a few people, ran into Phil Gaskin, had a little chat with him. He's the regional director. Also ran into Luke from Plymouth briefly earlier on. And I think if we play our cards right and keep pestering him, we can get him to come over and speak to the CLP. So it would be good if we can get that organised in the future. Busy day in conference. I spent much of the day in the conference hall, tending to sit upstairs in the balcony to listen to the speeches and then come down to do the votes, because it's quite cramped and hot down on the floor of the conference, and it's a very uncomfortable place to spend 5 or 6 hours of your day. But if you're up on the balcony, you can move around a bit more, can get a cup of tea and things. Anyway, that's the domestics, as it were. The day itself contained vast amounts of new policy initiatives, speeches. So we saw a speech by Emily Thornberry today. We saw a speech from Keir Starmer today, and probably the best speech we saw today was John McDonnell's speech, which was really, well, those of you who saw it on television will know this, was really well delivered and fairly meaty and full of excellent new ideas. Emily Thornberry's speech, I have to say, was higher on entertainment value probably than actual content. Lots and lots of motions. Now this year, we've had 20 different motions from CLPs and unions to discuss and debate. In previous years, it's only been 8 in total. So it means that we cover a lot more ground, but we cover it much more quickly, which in some ways has been a good thing, because when I was at conference last year, I actually thought that at times there were too many contributions from the floor of conference. And once you've heard 10 or 15 people from different CLPs come up and say, this is my first time at conference, I've never been on a platform before, and tell you their life story, you can get pretty tired of it. So actually it's much snappier when there are more motions to discuss. So that was good. Lots of good motions went through today as well. And again, those of you who've been watching TV will have seen that as it happened. And much of the afternoon, as I'm sure will have been clear from the news and newspapers and any other media you happen to be consuming, was largely taken up with the Brexit debate, which was quite fractious at times. 3 different and competing proposals put before the members, one of which was presented by the NEC. I don't know if that's a normal thing. It certainly didn't happen at any point last year that the NEC sent, as it were, a motion to the conference to ask for its support. And then yesterday's compositing meeting for Brexit couldn't agree, so 2 separate composite motions came to conference on the Brexit front. And what they've been doing is they've been announcing the debate, and then the proposer and seconder speaks on 2 or 3 different motions, and then they move to contributions from the floor. So you never know when somebody gets up which of those motions they're going to be speaking to, and sometimes they don't bother to tell you. So that can be quite confusing. You're sort of halfway through before you realise what the subject is that this particular contributor is referring to. So that made it quite confusing. And then finally it came at the end of the day to voting. 2 of the Brexit motions passed and 1 didn't. And the one that didn't was the one that we voted for, because it was the one that was closest to the motion that our CLP had passed and approved. So we felt that we should back the motion that our members had supported at our last CLP meeting. So quite disappointing. You'll have your own views about that, no doubt, but I'm sure the media will be full this evening of very little else. And let us say, a contentious business, I think, to be honest, and I'm not sure that the Labour Party, in the way that it's handled this, has done itself a whole heap of favours in terms of PR with the electorate. The other thing you might be interested in is I've talked to several other CLPs who've been extremely pissed off about their inability to select a prospective parliamentary candidate, including the people from Nottingham East, which was one of the key seats that was suspended, where selection was suspended. Apparently, they were 2 or 3 days from selecting what they thought was going to be a really good candidate. So, you think people in Totnes are cross about this? You should speak to people from Nottingham because they are really livid. So, one way or another, I suspect that the NEC has not covered itself in glory this week, and some of the arrangements at the conference have been maybe not fit for purpose in some ways. I think it's not been clear why and when card votes are needed and when they're used. It's not been clear how people are being selected from the floor to speak. It's not been clear about how votes have been counted when we're not going to a card vote, where it's done on a show of hands. So lots of questions, I think organisational questions for the Labour Party to consider and answer in the future. I will stop there because this video will otherwise get too long. Hope you found it useful and interesting. We will send you another video tomorrow, certainly Tuesday, which is the last full day. Whether we'll have time to do one for Wednesday or not, I don't know. But be useful to get some feedback when you see these. Thank you.